Okay.
Got some pretty choppy hotel internet I'm dealing with.
Okay. Will you be sharing slides today, Jim?
Yes, I do have a presentation.
Excellent. In that case, we're about to go live. I will queue you up. Don't worry. We've got you. And we'll start from now.
Good luck.
Where is the sharing of slides?
It's at the bottom. But it will be in a minute. Welcome, everybody. My name is Mark Green, Director of Buyer Enablement here at Presales. As by now, if you've watched the session, I mean, you probably know, I will be your moderator for today's session. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for what is our closing keynote. We've got some absolutely great content lined up to close out the public days of the event. We've got Mike, we've got Brian, and we've got Jim, right? So I'll be talking a little bit more about them in a moment. But before I do, DemoFest is presented by Consensus, the world-leading demo automation platform, getting your buyers what they need when they need it. Then multiplies your revenue team's impact with unique buyer insights. So you get faster close times, larger deals, and higher close rates. And it is true. Go and watch Matt Lauer's session. He tells you exactly how to do it. You can learn more at goconsensus.com or view the automated demo at the link in the right-hand side on the docs, in the docs tab on the right-hand side of your screen. We encourage you to participate in today's session. Even though it's the closing keynote, make sure you fill up that Q&A section. Make sure you fill up all of the chat there. We love interacting with you there. There's the chats section to interact with the other attendees. The speakers, Jim's very kindly going to take some questions at the end, and I'll be helping to facilitate that at the end of the session. We encourage you to ask them through the Q&A box. If at any time you have technical difficulties, head to the gear icon at the bottom of your screen, and here you will see a help document to troubleshoot common issues. Now, I would like to turn the time over to our first speakers, Brian Zurcher and Mike Triunfo of Consensus. Take it away.
All right. Thank you, Mark. And thank you, Brian, for coming with me today. And thank you, everyone here, for going through these 2 days. I hope you've learned some great stuff. I hope that it's been exciting for you. I hope you've got good content that you can share out onto the internet and you can share out into your orgs so that you can, have more impact with the stuff that's been shared these last 2 days. There's been so much great content, And as has been recent tradition here at Consensus at our in-person DemoFest X events, which we hope you will find a way to attend soon at a DemoFest X near you, we usually take about 5 or 10 minutes right at the beginning of the closing keynote to just talk about some exciting product stuff we have coming up. So that's what we've got for you here today. So I need to share here. Let's see. Let's see here.
If the sharing option isn't available, someone else might be. So, Jim, if you're currently sharing, if you hit stop sharing, and then we can get
there we go.
Come back up.
All righty. Rocking and rolling. All right. So we're here to talk about some cool Consensus product innovations today and talk a little bit about some things coming soon with both Zurcher and I. Brian Zurcher is our Senior Director of Product and much smarter than I. So listen closely to him because he's going to give you a lot of great information really fast. We're going to be talking a lot about AI today. Like, how does AI apply in our world? How does Consensus think AI applies to what Consensus is doing in the world of buyer enablement and helping sellers sell and helping buyers buy? Well, great question. This is our AI vision. We believe that the AI can take an active role in helping you sell in all the processes that you're a part of. We also believe it can take an active role in helping your buyers buy. We think that this will bring you and your buying group much closer together, creating materially faster alignment, ultimately reducing the sales cycle, making those faster clicks. We're really, really excited about what we've got coming in AI. And today we're going to show you just the beginnings of that we'll be able to get out into the market later this summer. So introducing Clarity. Clarity is our AI persona that will live inside of our platform and help you with a number of things. Clarity knows how to help you use the consensus platform. We've trained her on our knowledge base. She knows everything there is to know about the platform. Brian Zurcher is pretty much an expert on our platform, turns out. He's been here for several years. Clarity's better. Clarity can help you follow best practices. What is a good thing to do versus what's a great thing to do? What is a world-class thing to do? Well, ask Clarity. She'll help you. She can help you understand and apply principles of buyer enablement. You may remember our founder, Garen Hess. He wrote a book called Selling is Hard, Buying is Harder. It's all about buyer enablement. Turns out Clarity has it memorized. She can answer any question. We got some demos on some of this stuff we're going to show you here in a second. And she can also help you find and improve your demos. You're looking for a specific demo, for a specific role, for a specific situation, ask Clarity for some help. She'll point you to the right one. She knows your demos. And she can also tell you, hey, this demo gets watched a lot. Good job. Or people drop off in your demo at this point in time. Maybe you should do something about that. Or, hey, these are the types of demos that you should send in these different situations, and has all kinds of insights coming from Clarity to you soon. Let's jump into some of the demos. All right. First, Clarity is, she's the built-in expert on the product. She knows how to use the consensus platform. She knows the difference between a personalized demo board and a public link. By the way, these demos we just recorded on the other day. We didn't want to do them live because we didn't want to fall into that demo bug that you always run into when you do things live. Clarity can also help you understand how you can deal with the data that you're collecting in your product, how to export it, how to get reports on it. This is the data that helps you show to the rest of your internal team the impact that you and your team are having on the sales process and the sales cycle, and effectively your buyers and the deals, right? That's super important stuff.
Yeah, Mike, these two are huge. This is where Clarity can be that built-in guru for you, especially as you have new users coming on board using Consensus. Instead of feeling like you've got to figure out how to sync up calendars and get them trained up on where to find things in Consensus, how to utilize it to get the most out of it, Clarity is simply going to be there for them to help them get on board and know how to use it, whether they're that individual sales rep, that pre-sales rep, that manager that needs that data. They'll be able to guide them and help make sure they get the most out of it as soon as possible.
It really will help with enablement and onboarding inside your companies. If you try to share the platform across your orgs, she will be able to help. Again, she's an expert at buyer enablement. She knows the book. She's got it memorized. If she's smart enough, as is AI generally speaking, to know general use cases and very specific use cases. If you want to understand, hey, what's chapter 2 all about? Well, here you go. She can tell you that. If you have a more specific question, which is like, hey, tell me about the principles of deep sea, which is, a framework found within the book, she can tell you about those principles, right? She can here they are. Here's the 5 key components. This is what they mean. And, if you just happen to have a problem with, let's say, number 2, how do I do better with engaging stakeholders during appointments, in between appointments, excuse me. She can provide you suggestions for that as well. We are super excited about Clarity and so many more things that she's going to be able to bring to you inside of our platform. And as I stated before, we are intending to bring AI to our buyers as well, your buyers. And Brian Zurcher is now going to dive into that a little bit and help you understand some of our directions there. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. We want to walk through some of the really powerful buyer activities that we're going to be driving and adding inside of the platform for you. These buyer activities are the key to the powerful insights that we can drive for you as we track engagement of interests, of unique needs and individual stakeholders. That's what allows us to pull back all of that data, that information, and really drive home those insights. So we're just going to go through a few of them. We won't go too deep or cover everything, but we want to highlight a couple of the really cool areas that our teams are cooking up in the back end. The first thing we want to talk about is the idea that really the buying journey is a complex, long process. And we want to build a board, that demo board, that guides them throughout that entire journey. From that very first instance, maybe on your marketing website, or maybe that mail merge push where you're grabbing their attention and showcasing that first demo. We're building our demo boards in a way that is a single element or a single asset that they can continue to refer to throughout that entire buying journey. But we're building it in a way, understanding that each stakeholder has unique individual needs. That CEO probably is going to go through that product tour, right? They're going to want to get that that informational social proof demo that walks them through another organization that has seen the value, so that that CEO knows this is the right decision to go with. That SecOps person, they're going to want to get another piece of content specific to them. And we're going to allow our users, your sellers, to be able to enable their buyers to sell those direct assets all inside of that same demo board asset, to make it easy for that buying group to get alignment and get to the information they need to without trying to plaster everything in front of them and hoping that they can find their way around. The greatest thing about this new concept for the demo board is that it grows as that particular opportunity grows. So as something else comes up and you need to add another piece of demo content, or that individual piece of content from that sales rep talking about those red lines or how that contract works or how this element of an integration works, the board is built to be flexible to allow you to continue to grow that board and help drive and guide that buyer group throughout that whole process. The other thing we're driving is buyer group alignment. It's important to make sure that your buying group can align to be able to make those decisions that they need to and come to a consensus. So we're driving easy communication inside of the demo board so that not only your buyers, but your buyers and sellers can communicate and align more easily. That will allow buyers to call out specific elements or areas inside of a given demo or product tour or whatever it is that they need to be able to share with other stakeholders that they know will need to be able to understand that element or that will impact their decision. And your sellers will be able to respond directly in line to those buyers so they can continue that conversation and continue to drive them asynchronously without the need of dealing with the calendar scheduling and having to wait 3 weeks and slowly collecting things and finally being able to sit down with them. They'll be able to answer quickly and easily right in line so that those buyers can continue their journey and your sellers can continue to be that consultant for them. Now, one of the other big things we're trying to do is take some of that amazing AI functionality that Mike was talking about that we're driving inside of the application to guide your users, those sellers, those managers, and we're building that inside of the demo board experience as well for those buyers and building them an AI concierge. This is an AI concierge that you can train, you can model after how you want them to understand your solution, what demos you want them to be able to present, and they can answer those buyer questions immediately. They don't even have to wait for that AE to get that notification and send that response, but you can train that AI concierge to give those buyers that immediate response that they want, to understand how your solution is going to solve for those pain points, meet their needs. Or it could automatically and instantly add that other demo that dives deeper into that specific integration or talks about that other element to make sure that the questions that those buyers have, they can get immediately and they can drive that buyer journey asynchronously with that guide of the AI concierge. All the while that AI concierge is collecting the information about how they're interacting with your buyers so that your sellers can expertly consult based on those buyer assist insights that they're getting from those buyers during that interaction. This creates an incredibly powerful loop for your sellers and allows them to really focus on what they do best in the human touch in working as that consultant with those buyers instead of having to dig down into the nitty-gritty to try to answer those questions to provide information. They can just drive that consultant human touch for them. So these different buyer activities and a whole slew of other ones, our team are baking up behind the scenes to get ready for you, like Mike said, that you should start to see coming out this summer to provide a ton of value, not only to those buyers, but to you as sellers to give you those additional insights and allow you to be able to do so much more for your buyers. All with the idea of being able to drive that buying intent insight on AI steroids. And the combination of that engagement of those buyers with those AI insights will bring the knowledge that you have of your buyers to a completely new level. And we're excited to see that come out and see how well and how much you guys can take advantage of all these amazing features.
Thanks so much, Brian. If you want to understand more about our AI strategy, you can go to goconsensus.com/AI. You know, our AI vision is big. It's ambitious. We want our AI will understand the entire buying journey from soup to nuts, from first touch on the marketing website all the way through to even onboarding and beyond. And we'll be able to help you help them through that entire process. We are so excited to keep pushing on this. keep a close eye because we've got some fun things coming. More announcements coming at our next Demo Fest or Demo Fest X in person. Hope to see you there. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it. We'll hand it back over to you. And have a great
Excellent.
day, everybody.
Thank you so much. Well, I am excited about that. What we'll do then is I will share the wrong thing. Hey, pre-sales, at least we're keeping ourselves honest. Hey, at least I'm a real human. See, AI will never get that wrong, and then so that's fine. Right. Well, in that case, thank you, guys. Yes, it is an absolute honor to introduce the next speaker. Thank you, Mike and Brian, for the exciting product update. And now, without further ado, I'm going to introduce our speaker, Jim Hogan. Now, Jim stands at the intersection of technology and advocacy, serving as the Chief Innovation Evangelist at Google Cloud, and is a passionate autism activist. With an extensive background in cloud technologies and a personal journey with autism, Jim brings a unique blend of professional expertise and deep personal commitment to his roles. At Google Cloud, Jim is at the forefront of driving innovation, helping organizations harness the power of cloud computing to transform their operations and strategies. His role involves not only evangelizing cutting-edge technologies, but also ensuring they are accessible and beneficial to a wide range of users, including those with diverse needs and abilities. And with that, I will turn the rest of the time over to you, Jim. Thank you very much.
And thanks for having me. I have terrible internet. I'm actually coming to you from a hotel in rural Saudi Arabia, so I'm trying very much to be able to do this, and hopefully you can all hear me. I have my video turned off. I'm going to share some slides now.
Can hear you loud and clear, Jim. Do carry on. Feel free to share away whenever you're ready.
So 50 years ago, my parents stood in front of a doctor, and that doctor told them that he's going to be a burden to you for the rest of your life. Internet is terrible. So basically, I know that doctor was wrong because I'm now Chief Innovation Evangelist at Google Cloud, so he just couldn't have been more wrong about me being able to actually take part and be productive in the world. So I'm going to go into a little bit here and share a little bit about neurodiversity. So neurodiversity is the invisible diversity of the cognitive and nervous system. Basically, if you look at physical distinctions that are in the world, you'll see a lot of things like ear shape and nose shape. Is how somebody perceives the world around them. How somebody perceives the world around them is completely invisible to everybody else. You don't know how somebody else is perceiving the world around them, and they don't know how you're perceiving the world around you. And that's what we call neurodiversity. It's an invisible diversity of the cognitive and nervous system. And when we start talking about neuroinclusion, neuroinclusion is the inclusion that we use to enable the benefits of neurodiversity. So you can see what I look like on the outside. My profile picture pretty much emulates exactly how I look at the moment. I have a Rubik's Cube in my hand, which we're going to get into in a little while. What you can't see is, my level of creativity or thinking speed or attention to detail or memory. These things are all part of my cognitive makeup, and they're all pretty much invisible to everybody. Now, in the neurodiversity model, we look at a natural variation in human wiring and processing. It enables complementary cognition, and we use a strength-based addition to intersectionality. So if we start looking at these categories: creativity, thinking speed, attention to detail, action, focus, social interaction, and problem solving, you'll notice that in a typical autistic, ADHD, dyspraxic, dyslexia, and acquired brain injuries, a lot of different things can happen to give somebody a distinct cognitive profile. And you'll see that in the distinct cognitive profile, basically the spiky profile is a little bit more where people are and things like that. So once again, neuroinclusion is enabling the benefits of neurodiversity. And when we start looking at tools and policies and procedures, accessibility, accommodation, psychological safety, how we train leadership, team culture, what we end up with is everyone operating at peak performance. So if we look at those spiky profiles as their own unique things, they kind of look like stars in the sky. And the stars in the sky are all very unique, and they all belong. And so basically, I say that every cognitive profile, and they all belong. And I have a notion that I say that belonging is the fuel of innovation, because innovation is all about culture. It's all about feeling safe to speak your mind and to really come out and be able to change the world. So I'm going to talk a little bit about neuroinclusion, but that starts with everybody getting what we call neurosmart. And I'm just going to pause for 1 sec and make sure that everybody can hear me and we don't have any crazy chats or anything. Okay, good.
We can hear you, Jim. Yes, there's a little bit of interference across the internet, but not a problem. Carry on. It looks good from here.
I'm carrying on. I'm just looking at my slides and not the meeting thing. So basically, neuroinclusion starts with you being neurosmart. Now, a lot of people understand that that there's basically the 5 primary senses. In the physical body, we have sight, hearing, taste, touch, and smell. Now, everybody knows those 5, and all of those are actually impacted by neurodiversity. So you can actually have somebody like myself, being autistic, I have, a nerve deafness because I can actually hear everything that's going on around me. So I have a very hard time concentrating on like a one-on-one conversation if I'm sitting in a big event like I am doing here in Saudi Arabia. And I can basically hear everything that's going on, and so it makes me unable to actually hone in on what's happening right in front of me. So also taste, people have different tastes. You find somebody that says, I can't eat cilantro or coriander because it tastes like soap. Other people say, oh, I love cilantro or coriander. It makes everything amazing. So some people are touch sensitive. Some people are smell sensitive. Somebody can smell something and it's putrid to them. It's delightful to somebody else. So it's very important to understand how the physical body plays in the actual neurodiversity realm, because obviously your physical body is using your brain to process all of these things. But the 4 senses that people don't really understand are the proprioception, which is basically the regulation of body and movement. And people who are dyspraxic, they have a hard time understanding, their own body and movement and where it's actually existing in space. There's lots of bumping into tables and tripping and things like that. You also have your vestibular balance, or your vestibular sense, which is your sense of balance. So folks will get a little bit off kilter sometimes. Your interoception is the internal state, and that is, sometimes we have individuals, especially school-age children, that will be, I now have somebody who's like screaming on their phone in the hallway, which I would like them to go away because they can clearly see I'm talking to you all. Interoception is having awareness of internal states. When you're hungry, when you need to use the bathroom, understanding, having the ability to sense, different things that are going on as far as your bodily functions are concerned. And then lastly, neuroception, which is your sense of safety. The sense of safety being when you're on the street, do you have the ability to understand, if there's danger around the corner? Now, I'm extremely high in neuroception, so if you're ever walking the street with me, you'll find out that I pretty much have a sense for, danger. There's danger around the corner, not a lot of autistic people have that. A lot of autistic people will walk into situations because they don't have the neuroception to understand what's going on. So when we look at what we're doing with the physical body, there's a lot of tips for reasonable accommodations that get the best out of people. So we have designated spaces for decreasing and increasing input, predictive text for faster typing, haptic feedback. I use a lot of haptic feedback on my phone, lots of vibration and keyboard reactions and things like that. Screen readers and captions everywhere. I use both of them. Sometimes I use a screen reader that actually puts a kind of a summary of the information that's actually being that's being shown on screen, so that I can better absorb that. And I always have my captions turned on. And it's just an example of how these things are used regardless of whether I actually need captions because of being hard of hearing or deaf. I actually turn captions on because it's actually easier for me to absorb information that's going on in a meeting. So on your inner body, this is basically where you come with your diverse learning styles. So a lot of people are visual learners, a lot of people are auditory learners, a lot of people are hands-on, like, let's do it, let's touch it. Those are the people that will get something that they need to put together and just throw the instruction sheet away and decide they're just going to try to put it together without any instructions. A lot of people are logical, into the numbers. Some people are very verbal. Verbal can actually be like reading, writing, telling stories. Let's make a note. And then you've got your solitary thinkers and your social thinkers. So if you're ever asked to like break up into a group and, where you say, you 4 people go over there and you 4 people go over there, and you basically take the larger collective and break it up into groups. If you're extremely excited about that activity and you're going to just go to your table and take control and solve whatever needs to be solved, you are a social solver. But the people who just like say, oh, this is terrible, I don't want to do that, they want to go off on their own and solve a problem, those are your solitary thinkers, and they will really hate that group activity. So once again, in diversity and learning and processing, the tips for reasonable accommodations are have a culture of sharing. Have the ability for people to feel safe enough to say that they learn best or they work best, when these particular conditions are met. Do both group and individual activities to make sure everybody has the ability to do that. Synchronous and asynchronous communication mix. The multimodality resources like diagrams and sound bits and text and lots of whiteboarding, and so that you can make sure that if you don't understand everybody's preference, you're at least hitting all the categories. So on your social body, this is what you're actually, what others see. And for somebody who's autistic, you'll see things like, this what others taught you category, which is basically how to mask and people telling, autistic children they need to make eye contact and smile more and don't fidget and things like that. And then basically you have the whole what works in a situation. So you have 9 a.m. somebody's giving a presentation, and by 9 p.m. they're so overwhelmed from their day they just need to have they just need to hug it out with somebody. There's different ways of how your body responds, how your culture and your natural wiring, and all these things are impacting your social body. And when we have diversity and collaboration, we find that there's many valid ways of listening and participating. And this is very important because when you're looking to solve, your next big challenge with a group dynamic, understand that people are interacting and collaborating in their own unique ways. And there are societal norms that actually keep good people from being part of these groups, because some people think, like, if somebody's not making eye contact, for instance, that they're not honest, because that's what societal norms tells us. Or if somebody has their arms folded, that they're being standoffish and they don't want to really engage, when it could very well just be they're trying to have a sense of themselves and their physical body. Shrugging and rocking and stimming. If you meet me, I constantly have a Rubik's Cube in my hand, because it's really the only publicly acceptable way for a 57-year-old autistic man to be self-stimulating, because I have an overwhelming, my brain is there's a physiological outcropping from what's going on inside my brain. You have people who have difficulty finding words, and a lot of people who are quick with the words try to force them to talk. Talk. I want you to talk. And even my partner who does these slides for me, who's one of the world's best neurodiversity experts. She has a hard time when we're having interpersonal difficulties, that sometimes I just need to like sit there and be silent, and she forgets the fact that she actually created the slide. So, which is quite hilarious. So, and you'll find people that are speaking too much, speaking too little, using visuals, trying to put something in writing. Folks that really like to have like the meeting summary come out. A lot of folks don't need the meeting summary. Cameras on, camera off. Right now my camera's off because I'm dealing with bandwidth issues, but usually you'd see me in my full glory, just stimming and rocking and presenting to you. So when we talk about solving for everyone, inclusive innovation benefits us all. And this is my very favorite, cartoon that depicts this. You have somebody who's shoveling snow, and the kid in the mobility device is saying, "Could you please shovel the ramp?" And he said he will as soon as he clears the stairs for the rest of the children. And then the child reminds him, if you clear the ramp, then we can all just use it. So it's basically when people are thinking that something is designed for one, but it actually benefits us all. And this is what is called the curb cut effect. So curb cuts exist globally now, but curb cut effect is what we use to talk about anything that was designed for one segment of humanity that benefits many segments of humanity. And I'm usually the one who's pushing my my luggage around. So back at the tail end of the group there. But you have people, razor scooters, proms, moving the children around. You've got people biking. You've got people delivering packages. You've got people with walkers. All of these people benefit from the curb cut. And, just the other day I was rolling someplace that didn't have a curb, and I tried to like pick my suitcase off, and have my backpack, latched to the suitcase with a hook, and everything started to fall, and that hook came down and caught my finger and almost tore my finger off my hand. So, curb cut, really something that benefits me. If I don't have the curb cut, serious personal injury. So we're going to talk a little bit about neuro-inclusive innovation strategy, and I'm going to risk losing you all by turning my video on, because I'm going to show my Rubik's Cube. So, and let's see if I have completely lost you, because seems like it's still clicking. So hopefully you can all see me. Terrible lighting. Yep. I'm in a hotel, so I just kind of found the place of where the internet was working best. So I get into a Rubik's Cube solving quite a bit. So I'm just going to hold this up. And when we're talking about neuro-inclusive innovation strategy, I use a matrix theme. So so the first thing about this is, like, if you're ever looking to go out and change the world and have your innovations come to market, or even if you're just trying to change an internal process, the first piece of advice is be bold, because hesitancy is the enemy of innovation. So, this is just the neo decision, red pill, blue pill. It can be anything, but be bold. Be ready to suggest your idea and take that and get the outcomes that you're looking to achieve. Knowing the rules is extremely important. That's understanding the relevant processes and standards. So I used to be in healthcare, and obviously lots of places that you can innovate. unfortunately, you have to understand the relevant processes and standards. I can't just start sharing patient data, for instance, because it violates, HIPAA rules, and I can't just start sharing credit card numbers because it violates PCI rules. So there's various, compliance and standards that you need to apply to. And that's where it's like, know the rules in your industry, know the rules for your company. What are you looking to move the needle on? And then once you understand the relevant standards and processes, go on and innovate. Now, my very favorite thing is when somebody comes to me and they're like a CIO or a CTO and say, Jim, I just moved all of our applications to a private data center like 12 years ago, and it cost us like $40 million. And even though the maintenance of that is pretty high, I'm going to look pretty silly, telling them that we need to move to a public cloud, whether that is moving to Google Cloud or wherever to be moved to. And I always say to them that there is no spoon. And if you are familiar with the Matrix reference, it's really not the fact that the spoon just doesn't exist is what I'm saying. So we're not confined by the constraints of the current state, meaning that decisions that you made in the past shouldn't limit you for what you should do in the future. Now, decoding wicked problems is extremely important. It seems like the only wicked problem I can get over or can't get over is bad internet, because I did not build the hotel or put the internet in. But decoding wicked problems is reducing complexity without losing perspective of what you're looking to solve for. Now, in this Rubik's Cube, it's important to understand that the centers never move. So this side will always be white because the center is white. This is yellow. This one is blue. This one is green. This one is orange. This one is red. So I know that the centers will never move. Regardless of how much I move the cube around, I know that the centers will never move. Now, this cube, and I don't think I have this slide in the deck, so I'm just going to tell you, has 43 quintillion combinations, which is more than grains of sand on Earth. So if I can solve this thing in about 30 seconds, you could pretty much solve any problem that you're looking to solve for. Now, the opposites must be balanced, meaning that, like I know that the opposite of white is yellow on my Rubik's Cube. But what I'm talking about is the fact that if you're going out and you're coming up with a new idea and you take it to somebody, they should actually give opposition, because opposition is good. It allows you to think through your idea. But hostility is bad. When you have an idea that's immediately shut down, usually it's illogical reasons, and people will just say, no, we tried to do that, 3 years ago, it didn't work, it's a terrible idea, and in a very hostile manner that's not able to, that you're not able to get over. We want to make sure that we balance the opposites and make sure we keep that into the opposition category and not be hostile. So it even talks about how you respond to somebody when they have an idea that they want to change. So controlling the controllables. So I know that the center of this has to be white, and I know that the sides are pretty clear what color they need to be. So for instance, this one needs to be white and blue. So if I control the controllables, that means that I can move my thing and do what's called a white cross here, because I do intend to solve this cube. And so I am basically going to look at moving the white cross so that I have all four of the opposing colors are all solved for now. So the centers are solved for. Now all I have to do is control the current controllables. So now I know that if this side is orange and this is white and this is green, then this piece that's right here, it actually needs to go there. So I'm just going to move that down corner. And it's understanding that for every situation there is a way to actually control these controllables. And the lighting's really bad here, so I'm having a hard time deciphering between yellow and white, which is always a problem. But let's just go for it. Let's roll through the punches. And so basically, with a couple of swift moves, I've my white side now. So I basically have controlled the controllables. Everything has a place, but there's many ways to get there. You'll see I solved for the same corner problem, but some of my movements were different just because of the current state of where things were. So now I'm looking at this center side, the center row, and those are pretty easy to solve for because all I have to do is just make sure that I have those two colors. So now with one last one. Now I basically did different moves for each of them, but I've now got the two layers solved. So that's what it means, that everything has a place, but there's many ways to get there. So as you start to break down your problem and what you're looking to solve for, understand that you may not have the same process for each of those problems or each of the segments of the problem, but you are going to be able to get to the solution. So hope is not a strategy. I was really coming into this call today. It's starting at 11 o'clock at night here in Saudi Arabia. I'm hoping that I can find a place to do it from. So basically, plan for success. Failing to plan is planning to fail. So in the metaphor of the Rubik's Cube, I have every intention of solving this cube for you all. So controlling failure is, a lot of people say that innovation is all about failing. It's like fail fast, fail often, fail hard, fail early. For me, I think that controlling failure is a really good way to go. And early modeling leading to faster success, and doing little tests as you go, because there's a lot of industries that don't have the appetite or the currency for failure, because failure is the currency of innovation. It's, if you have the ability to fail often, you could try a lot of different things. But I used to come from healthcare once again, and I can't have a change fail at 2 o'clock in the morning that puts people's lives in danger just because I'm trying to be, because I think that failing is the way to innovate. So there's a lot of balancing between failure and and where your successes come from. So transparency, when we're talking about this, is everyone needs to know what's going on and why. Why is it happening? And the reason I'm talking about this is, if you're looking to change something, internal process, implement something new, innovate to change the world, whatever you're looking to do, everyone, and I don't mean everyone in the world, but everyone down the track, they need to know what's happening and why, because it's about getting that opposition out of the way ahead of time. If you wait too long and people that are supposed to be involved weren't involved, then what's going to happen is they're going to feel slighted, and they won't support what you're looking to do. Now, interconnectedness, you can't move one thing without others being impacted. So if I just start moving my cube around randomly with no plan, I'm not going to be able to do that without things being impacted. So if I just start scrambling it, I'm going to ruin everything that I've already built on. So the objective is understand that how things are interconnected, and realize that you're not going to be able to move one thing without others being impacted, and understand what those impacts look like. So simplicity is extremely important, because when in doubt, you go back to the basics. And why are we doing this? So this cube, like, I'm confused. I don't know what to do now. I've got one last layer to go. I've done all this work. I'm going to have to throw it all out because I don't understand what I need to do. And so what I tell people is, go back to the basics. It's like, we started with the white cross. We're now on the yellow side. So let's work out and see if we can find a way to actually get that yellow cross. Now, right now, I don't have a complete, because it looks like a yellow cross, but you'll see the green is aligned with red. So I just now have to do it a quarter turn, and you'll see that now my green is aligned with green, and red is aligned with red, and blue and orange. So woo, we're almost there. Now, how did I do that? I just went back to the basics. I went back to where we started from. I remembered what we did. And this is basically remembering the outcome that you're looking to achieve, and use it as your guide. Now, consider the 360 life cycle as that, like I just said, innovation is the delivery of expected outcomes. If you're not hitting an outcome, then it's not really an innovation. So that outcome can be anything that you're looking to achieve. So, just understand that once we define what an innovation actually is, it's really easy to center yourself and go back to what you're actually looking to achieve. So integration, a lot of things would be really awesome, but sometimes they won't be. It's a very hilarious way to say, almost like interconnectedness. Understand what you're going to need to integrate with. It looks really great when you're just sitting there in an independent system, or you're trying to change a process. But once you realize that there's things down the track that you need to integrate with, you need to make sure you think about that, and you have to account for it. And building on familiarity, it's keep it close to something that people already know to aid transitioning. This is basically if you're talking to the CFO or somebody on the CFO's team, you want to make sure you talk about things that are centric to what they do. So more on the financial side. If you're talking to the chief technology officer, talk to them about maybe eliminating technical debt. Things that are actually moving the needle for those particular individuals. Remember that everyone is important and that empathy and appreciation of diverse roles is critical. Don't discount the person who's running analytical reports somewhere down the track because you don't think that their input is important. Because I can assure you that it is. And once you start mapping your users the people that are actually going to benefit from the system, and people are actually going to use the system, or whatever your outcome you're looking to impact, understand that everyone is important and that you have to have that empathy and appreciation. Being inclusive, a little bit different, but consider accessibility for diverse thinking styles and distinct abilities. If you're building a process, how is it going to be interacted with? Have you gotten enough input? Have you been inclusive in this design? And lastly, use levity to balance gravity. My sense of humor is a little bit slower today because I had a heavy day, but usually I'm very hilarious. But basically, that is the end of my presentation. I'm going to go to the Q&A slide, and I'm going to solve this cube. And hopefully, you're all still there.
Very much so. Very much so. We are all still here. I tried to do a Rubik's Cube once, and I probably should get back to it. I'm very impressed with people that can do such things. Thank you so much for that, Jim.
No worries. And you can go to thingaboutHardProblems.com. So thingaboutHardProblems.com. It'll teach you how to solve. So
brilliant. I will do that. So we've got a question in the Q&A. If I could ask it, let me read it out. As a neurodivergent, sorry, this is from Sasha. As a neurodivergent professional, how do you join companies which don't have neuro-inclusive policies? How do you make them understand that not only will you get the job done, but you will exceed anyone's expectations? But to do that, you need support, as I can come into the office, but need a quiet space, as I can't get anything done with 10 other voices in the room.
Right, and it's really, really difficult because it starts with education inside the company, and it's really difficult to come in and explain to people who haven't had any kind of education in what does it mean to be neurodivergent, or as I use, neurodistinct. And once you get in the door, sometimes it's a little bit too late. So it's always best to, even if you really super want the job, to ask them about these things ahead of time. Like when you get the opportunity while interviewing, ask questions. And the question that I would usually use is something to the effect of, I'm an autistic professional, and would your company be interested in learning more about that as I enter the workforce? And if their question is like no, or the answer is no, then obviously I wouldn't work there. And a lot of people say, well, yeah, Jimmy, you have it easy. You work for Google. And, the reality is that I've been trying to work at Google for 20 years, and I applied over 40 times and interviewed multiple times and washed out every single time. And it was just about, understanding the fact that that I don't really want anything handed to me. It's like, I've been a technologist. I've started my career 41 years ago. So it is so there's no doubt that I'm talented and can do what I'm highly capable of doing. Sometimes convincing people that your quirkiness, being an autistic individual, I never interview well, and I don't ever, present myself well. As soon as I got to Google, I just happened to win this award that um, that our president of Google Cloud, where I work, he actually knew the people that were giving me the award. Like he was like best friends with them, and he knew about it before I did, and he was really super excited. And so all of a sudden, my face was like plastered all over the all hands calls, and what it allowed people to do was be very curious about me. So I actually had like a great deal of serendipity in my job, but because I have struggled for 37 years before I joined Google. I struggled in every single thing I did. Every job was challenging. Um, every manager was a jerk, and so there was nobody that really understood me or got it until I actually got to Google. So I waited about almost 4 decades to do that. So Sasha, all I can say is it's really super difficult, and you have to find companies that you have to be able to ask those questions, and if they answer the question wrong, you just have to move on in your search, if it's that important to you. If you get to a position and say join and try to mask your way through, a lot of times people will not appreciate it when you start. Basically be you didn't disclose this to us, and you should have, or something to that effect. So it is extremely difficult. So, and if you want to chat more about that, just hit me up on LinkedIn. I'm an open book. So it's a very complicated question because your personal disclosure is it's a deeply personal thing. So to actually come out and say, I'm a neurodivergent individual who needs XYZ from my employer. That is a very difficult conversation to have because it needs to be received in such a way. So hopefully that all came through. It seems like my audio is bouncing, and I'm
Yes.
okay at this moment. So.
Yes. Well, thank you. That's a very complete way to answer that, and I'm sure Sasha and everybody else appreciates the opportunity to connect with you on LinkedIn. We do have one other question from Logan, who says, "I'm not sure it's possible in this setting, but I'd love to hear about a case study from your career, Jim, where you have implemented these principles throughout your career, particularly by including neurodistinct individuals."
Well, I have always tried to include neurodistinct individuals, and at my own companies, I know that a lot of the individuals that were on my team were autistic, and so it was interesting because I owned the company, and I probably wasn't doing as inclusive of a job as I do now. At Google, I basically am trying to lead the way for people to be able to tell their stories. And as an evangelist and as an autistic public speaker, it's kind of like people are like, he's an autistic public speaker. And it's like, I had to work extremely hard to be able to say those words, like, I'm an autistic public speaker. And, and I did it by getting vocal coaches and making sure that I understood how to actually present. And because I endeavored to be able to tell my story so many times and give this neurodiversity talk. And I think we did like a little quick math that, the talk that you just saw with the little neurodiversity education has probably been given to about 2 million people now. So just slowly making our way to allow companies to understand what it's all about. And at Google, I do everything I can to, help understand what it takes to actually not only hire, but just interviewing neurodistinct talent and what neurodiversity is. And we have it as part of the curriculum. And we've got programs where we actually are presenting continuously internal so that everybody understands. And then when you come into Google, you can actually tell your recruiter that you're a neurodistinct individual. We have a lot of people who come in and say they're autistic and like an autistic champion. I am an autistic champion, so I do help people through that process of getting hired at Google. If you're already in the process, you can actually ask your recruiter for a champion. So a lot of these things just never existed before the activism, and and I think that there's lots of social causes that get lot of social causes that are out there at more the forefront than neurodiversity. But that's why I explain neurodiversity the way I do, that it's everyone, and everyone needs to understand that nobody perceives the world around them the same way. So hopefully I answered your question. If not, just ping me on LinkedIn and we'll work it out.
Wonderful. Thank you. That's very kind of you to share. We've got one more question from Joel, who says, I wonder how many people are unaware of their own neurodiverse situations that can make certain scenarios easier or harder. Are there ways to help identify these things in ourselves?
Yeah, there's actually one company that I'm extremely excited right now that's called U Guides, the letter U, guides.ai. And it's really changing the way that people are going to be able to understand themselves and be able to articulate, their own needs. Neurodistinct or neurotypical, everybody needs to have the ability to have an internal user guide to understand themselves better, to understand the world around them, and how to explain what they need from companies, regardless of, if you're autistic and need, noise canceling headphones and a quiet place to sit, or if you're just somebody who has, childcare needs in the afternoon and need to leave the office to take care of those things. A lot of people have different preferences and things that they need to bring out. So, it's another question for you to add me on LinkedIn. I can share a few resources with you. But there are things that people can do for assessment perspective, and what you guys is trying to do is it's just basically humanity, understanding humanity. So it's literally the best use of generative AI that I've seen. And so just helping people understand themselves better in the journey that they're taking. But you can reach out to me. I have a couple of other, there's assessment tools and things that you can take to find out. I have usually the unique situation being diagnosed when I was a child, and then, in the 70s, early 70s, and, literally being told that I would be institutionalized for my whole life. And, so when I tell the story and my partner, Dr. Lutz Ireland, she basically is behind you guys, but she's a psychologist. And when she just told that she basically found out that she was autistic and ADHD very late in life for somebody who was a psychologist and had psychologist friends, and because she's was actually shocked by this diagnosis, and kind of laughed at the first doctor who said that you're basically probably autistic and ADHD. So a lot of people don't even realize that there is a diagnosis out there. There's a self-discovery to go through. Once you have the understanding, you can there's a lot you can do. So
amazing.
And all that thing. So
amazing. Well, thank you, Jim. I mean, I feel almost bad following that with some rather more generic slides to round off the show, but if you'll allow me, we are very, very thankful for you to come along and round off the 2 days of the public set for Demo Fest. If you've attended any session this week, you know that Demo Fest will be on the road again as Demo Fest X. Don't worry, London and New York City will be coming around so soon. Please don't forget to register. Join us. Many of the presenters that you've seen this week will be live and in person. So just go to visit demofest.com or the link on the Docs tab, but not before the next 2 slides. We encourage you to stop by the Expo Hall, which is still open, to visit our premier partners for Demo Fest. Remember, there's no exchange of money involved in this event, so all the partners have gone above and beyond to make this event a success for you all. And thank you for joining us for Demo Fest 2024. Thank you to Jim for sharing such valuable insights with us today. We've had such a great time sharing the last 2 days with you. Tomorrow is an exclusive customer day with sessions on practical training for current consensus users. We will see all of our customers tomorrow from 8 a.m. Mountain Time for our opening customer keynote with Tom Edwards. Tom is a wonderful person. You do not want to miss that. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you very soon in London and New York later this year.
thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.